right. I think just a quick recap of the ball game the other night. I thought that played it, like I said, really a complimentary football game. You know, when you look at all three phases and the style of play and capitalizing on opportunities in the environment, in the elements, I thought that really showed up. You know, clearly defensively, our ability to kind of stop the run was huge in the game. A couple critical fourth down stops, the turnover, the punt return to set up a score. It all added up to us just playing really well together. I thought everybody was engaged. That's always an issue when you go on the road in those conditions. I thought the sidelines was engaged. There was great energy amongst the team. Clearly the running game offensively was effective. That Bijan had a fantastic night. He continues to do things that we probably take for granted of just what he's able to do in his style of play to create those explosive plays for us. So all in all, it set us up for a great opportunity this Friday. It's going to be a heck of an environment for us. Senior day, and a lot of our seniors deserve and need that recognition. It's their last time in DKR, playing at DKR, so want to make sure that they have a special memory of that. 11 a.m. kick. We know how important our fans are. They've been tremendous all year long, and we're asking for one more op for them to show up. It's going to be a heck of a ball game against a very good Baylor team. One a lot like us is probably looking at a few of their games thinking, man, a play here, a play there, and ultimately maybe things are going a little differently for them in this last weekend. So, no, great challenge ahead of us, and looking forward to the opportunity of Thanksgiving ball game, which it's always fun when I was a kid. It was always the Turkey Bowl on Thanksgiving, and hopefully it was raining and you got to play in the mud and all that kind of good stuff. And in high school, it was always, if you were playing Thanksgiving weekend, that meant you were getting deep into the playoffs, which was always fun as well. And in this instance, feels kind of like a playoff game. We've got to take care and do our part. We all understand, the ramifications of where it's at in the Big 12. Again, we don't shy away from those things. So we've got to do our part Friday at 11 a.m. And then see what happens after that. So with that, we'll open it up.
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a mic to you. Start up in the middle with Kirk.
Steve, the win against Kansas, validation for you in the season. You guaranteed a winning season, and you're the only four-loss team that's ranked. So.
Well, I think it probably goes both ways. I'm really proud of our guys, to stack road wins together and to play the style of football that we've been playing. I think is a physical brand of football. I think you can feel our effort in which we play the game. I think we're playing smart. And so I'm proud of the guys on that, And again, you can always look back and play the what-if game. What if this play, what if that play, and a couple other ball games. But in the end, the resiliency our guys have shown, I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of their ability to stick together, to fight through some of the adversity that we've been faced with. Showed a great deal of perseverance and a lot of pride in putting on that jersey and that helmet every weekend. And so we got another opportunity this weekend to do that. Again, I've always challenged our guys is, when you get good victories, that's not the time to relax. That's the time to dig deeper and to hone in with even more mental intensity. And I thought today really showed that. Short week, the guys came back with a great deal of energy, a lot of focus on what we're trying to get done Friday. So again, a lot to be proud of for the season, but more work to do. So that's kind of the approach we have.
Hey, Coach, about a year ago, right before the season finale, you were asked about the quarterback position, and you talked about how you were going to open that job back up and the importance of letting guys compete, and because you wanted to see the development. A year later, I'm kind of curious as to where you are with that. Do you feel the same way that you did last year as far as after the season you need to open it back up? And I'm just kind of curious where you are.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question. I think competition is healthy for all of us. I think to anoint anybody for the future, that probably wouldn't be fair to the other guys in that room. And so, hey, Quinn's made some really good strides. I know there's opportunities he'd probably love to have back throughout the year. I think Hudson has really improved, and I thought he was really valuable for us early in the season when we needed him. I think Malik Murphy's another guy who's got a bunch of upside who I've seen development in him. So like every year, we'll go into the off season and wipe the slate clean and let these guys compete and battle and see what it looks like, because that's what makes us better. And ultimately, when other guys are working at their craft, that should motivate us to want to continue to improve our game. So, and that would be no different than any other position. You know, we have to give everybody those opportunities, or we're not living up to the idea that we're a developmental program. And if you don't give guys the opportunity to develop and to then show what they're capable of, then I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, and that's not right. I always try to be upfront and honest with our guys, and so competition's at the forefront of our program as to go along with the development, and so that position is no different than any other one.
Chip?
Steve, back-to-back games against the top two scoring offenses, your defense holds them way below their averages. Yeah. Have they crossed a threshold mentally, especially getting it done on the road? And is it your anticipation that Gary Patterson will be back next year?
Well, I think I'll speak on the defense first. I think one thing that comes with defense is confidence and belief. And I think as this year's gone on, our defense has gained confidence in their play, and then gained belief in the scheme, the techniques, the guys next to them, that everybody's doing their part. And I think there's a style of play that we're playing with defensively. I think there's a relentless attitude and effort that they play with. We populate the ball. We're creating more turnovers now in the second half of the season. So all that, I think, lends itself to the confidence that we're playing with defensively. And it's exciting to see, man. Great teams play great defense. And, I think that it's been a work in progress over 2 years now of where we've gotten to defensively. And granted, there's a couple seniors on that side of the ball that'll be moving on. But there's still a really good nucleus of young players over there that our future looks very bright. As far as Gary, the offseason is the offseason, and that's what it's for. People make choices and decisions in their life and their careers of what they need to do. We're obviously very grateful and thankful for Gary of what he's provided to our program. If it works out to where he can come back, man, I would love to have him. We would welcome him back with open arms. But again, he's got to make choices and decisions just like every other member of our staff does of where they want to go in their future.
Coach, what's impressed you about Baylor? They racked up a lot of yards against TCU, then they got their heart ripped out. What about this Baylor team, and what about the Dave Aranda?
Yeah, I think their team, first of all, offensively, I'll speak on first. They've got great balance, man. I really, I'm impressed with their ability to run the football with the different runners that go in. I think the quarterback has really, kind of emerged in his style of play, got a very athletic, good offensive line with a good scheme. The run game, the play pass, they do a nice job getting the quarterback on the perimeter. He's a very good athlete. So all those things add up to it's a tough scheme. I think defensively, very good scheme as well. Big defense, very big up front, physical, athletic in the secondary. So pose good challenges there. And Dave, I've got a great deal of respect for him. I've known him a long time. He's done a tremendous job with their program. I know, hey, tough losses happen, man, and they took the number 4 team in the country to the brink, to the last second. But in the end, that's what our conference is about. It's tough. Big 12's a tough conference, man. Week in and week out, you got to play, ultimately your best football to come out on top. So they're a very good football team, very well coached, and I know they'll be hungry Friday at 11 a.m.
Bijan just won Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. Do you think he'll be able to win any of those next year? Have you had any of those conversations with him yet about his future? And maybe more importantly, do you think NIL deals lend guys to maybe put off the NFL and maybe want to come back because of what they're able to do now?
Well, I think a couple things. One, if he didn't win Player of the Week this week, I would have liked to seen the guy that did. That was a tremendous performance and well-deserved, believe me. I always try to put those kinds of talks off till after. I think that can create clutter in these guys. I know he wants to come in here Friday and play well, wire into the game plan. When that time comes, when the regular season dies down, we'll have those discussions, not just with him, but with his family, and we'll get the necessary information in place so he can make a really good decision. In the end, I do agree. I think NIL may play a factor in some guys' decision to decide to turn pro or not because of the opportunities that they get placed with. And that's why I say I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think if that's a way for young men to want to stay in school, to earn their degree, to be part of a university, that's a positive, you know. And I know that so much of NIL right now is there's a negative connotation that's surrounding that word about what it's doing to college athletics. But man, if it can promote a young man to stay in school, to get his degree, to be part of a university and a program, man, I think that's a positive. So again, that discussion with he and any other guys on our team will happen after the regular season.
Here on the far left, Cedric.
Hey, Steve, we asked Quinn about Bijan's performance, and he was like, he's going so good that I was a game manager, and he didn't shrug away from that. And is that maturity when a quarterback can say, I need to manage the game?
Well, I think
does that
so.
show maturity on
No,
his part?
to your point, I think it does. At the end of the day, we're trying to build a culture that's about winning. And what do we need to do to win? And for the quarterback to recognize, hey, it's 26 degrees, and we're running the ball at 7 yards a pop, it's probably a smart thing to do to keep running the ball and then mix in some passes when you can to take advantage of some things. So for him to recognize that, I think does show a lot of maturity. I probably recognize there was a run that Bijan had there, his last one, where he literally Quinn looked and kind of put his hands on his head like, I can't believe what I just saw. So I think everybody was watching the same stuff, you know, and again, hey, are we going to be able to run the ball like that Friday? I don't know. They got a really good rush defense at Baylor. So, Quinn's probably going to have to play, and we're going to ask more of him this Friday than we did last Saturday.
Middle, John.
Coach, how do you help your guys not play the what-if game, knowing where they could have been at this point?
A couple things. One, I'm a realist with our guys. I'm honest with them. They know the scenario. I painted this scenario for them last night. We got to win Friday. Then we can worry about what happens Saturday night. But if we don't take care of our business, if we don't mow our own lawn, then it doesn't matter what happens Saturday night. So I think the focus and the intent is taking care of our own business first. I think it'd be a lot more challenging if it was reversed. If we didn't play till Saturday night and they played Friday, then it could be challenging watching that. But right now, because that game's going to kick off 24 hours after we're done, man, we can invest our time and energy into that as it pertains to the Big 12. Two, we got a group of guys that this is their last time running out of that tunnel playing at DKR. And that's a special moment for them, and we want to make sure that we provide them with a special memory. We were able to do that last year, 4-7, walking in here playing K-State, and dedicating that game to our seniors and coming out with a win. We have a bunch of guys that their last game in DKR was a really good victory against a good football team. Man, if we can do the same for this year's senior class, that would be a great moment for us. So that's where our focus is right now, and I think our players understand that.
On your right, Joe.
You were able to get a lot of the freshman offensive linemen in late. What did you see from that, aside from Logan, all those first-year guys playing together late?
It was great. It was great to see him. I saw a lot of highlight-type things and a lot of, like, man, we can build off of that. I also saw not a lot, but some inconsistency in there, which is understandable for some of those guys' first time real action playing. Those game reps are invaluable when you actually have to be out there on the field and do it against quality people. I think is going to be good for them for their future.
On your left, Nick.
Yeah, Steve, obviously, Jonathan Brooks is buried behind some pretty talented guys on the depth chart, but just for him to come out and have that performance and be able to, get double-digit touches, how encouraging is that for, his present and his future, and maybe what has he done behind the scenes to kind of improve? And also just have a quick update on Roshan.
Yeah, Roe, I think is making good progress. Again, you never know coming out of a ball game when a guy gets injured. I thought we took some precautions there of removing him from the game. But he's making good progress to get back, so that's a positive. I think for Jonathan Brooks, he's taking advantage of being in a great room with some great role models. When you think about Bijan Robinson, Roshan Johnson, Keelan Robinson, three very mature young men who compete at a really high level, but they do it on a daily basis. They do it from a meeting perspective. They do it at practice, how they conduct themselves off the field, the way they go about their business. I think Those guys are great role models for Jonathan Brooks and Jaden Blue. But Brooksy, in the end, this is a guy who we had flashes of high hopes for last year. Had a shoulder injury at the end of last season. Came back this year, went back to work, and every time he's gotten an op, has shown up. And I thought the physicality he ran with the other night, but then the speed, it's something definitely for him to build on for the future. And like I said, I think our running back room is something that we should be proud of and look forward to seeing what it looks like in the future.
Stan, what, Danny?
I'm sticking with Roshan. Just how, I guess, important has he been for you as a guy who's kind of led and helped lead this transition over the last couple of years?
I owe a lot to him. I owe a lot to our leadership committee and these seniors. But Ro, there's been a couple of very significant moments that, somebody at some point needed to stand up. My voice at some point can only go so far until it comes from a peer. And he took the initiative and did that. And very eloquent in his messaging to the team, but in a way that I felt like the players heard it and continue to hear it when he speaks. And I think that when you talk about what is a Texas Longhorn football player, in my mind I think of Roshan Johnson because he's a selfless player. He is not the starting running back at the University of Texas. But yet that doesn't ever get in the way of his work ethic. That doesn't ever get in the way of his approach. That doesn't ever get in the way of his want to do well for his team and want to win. And he probably could be starting at a lot of other schools. But yet what does he do? He maximizes his opportunities every time he gets it. He doesn't count his reps. He makes his reps count. He starts on 4 special teams. He runs down on kickoff and makes tackle. He handles our punt team. He does all of the little things the right way that every time I meet with a young player, I always reference, how can you be more like him? That's what your goal should be, because that guy goes about it the right way, and he's got a bright future on the football field, but he's got probably even a brighter future off the football field because of who he is as a person.
Coach, the portal will open up, I believe, on December the 5th, but guys are probably going to start making their decisions about their future probably after the regular season is over with. So when will you start having conversations with guys about their futures here at Texas, and how do you kind of decide within your head who are the guys that you want to talk into returning and who are the guys that you say it's okay for you to walk and find some happiness somewhere else?
Well, I think 2 things. One, I won't have any of those discussions until our regular season is done. So we'll find out Saturday at about 10:30 if we're done, or if we have one more regular season game. We'll see. So that will depend on how that goes. The ultimate decision is this. If a young man wants to be at the University of Texas, that's who we want to be here playing football for us. If they're wondering, should I not, maybe the grass is greener somewhere else, this probably isn't the place for you. Because ultimately you have to be fully invested into this thing to get the results out of it that you're looking for. And if you're not, it's going to be too hard. And so that's going to be my discussion with everybody. It's about, hey, if this is somewhere you want to be and you're willing to put forth the effort and the energy needed to make that happen, come on. If you're wondering about it, if you got one foot in, it's probably better to take the other step and move on. And that's just the nature of it. And I don't, there's no ill will towards that. But that's the environment of college football today. That's the reality that we're in, and so we can embrace it or we can continue to fight it. And I'm of the mindset of you might as well embrace where we're at. I reference this line a lot. Adapt or die. And there's a reason dinosaurs aren't here anymore. They couldn't adapt, and so we have to adapt with the times. The transfer portal is a real thing, and so you have to manage it accordingly, just like you do recruiting or NIL or anything else that comes up.
Last one, start with Kirk.
The offensive line, defensive line, point of attack. How would you rate those units now that you're toward the end of the year, and how much improvement have you seen?
I thought our defensive line all year and really the second half of the season has been playing at a very high level. I think these guys are A grade. They've really, in the run game, pressuring the quarterback, have done it at a very high level internally and externally. I just think the defensive front has done it at a high level. I think offensively, we've had really cool moments when we've done it. We've had some other moments where maybe we showed a little bit of immaturity. understandable. When you start 2 true freshmen, a true sophomore, a redshirt sophomore up there, you're going to have a little bit of that. And we knew that going in. We knew what we were doing. I think Coach Flood's done a great job with those guys. But, man, we're seeing a lot more than just glimpses. We're seeing a little bit more consistency at the point of attack of the style of football that we want to have up front. But, again, I think our future is very bright up there on the offensive line. But so, again, proud of the work both sides of the ball has done. But clearly defensively, I think what we've done at the line of scrimmage has been a very good year.
Steve, you said, I think before the Kansas game, to the sideline reporter, number 5 needs to show up. How often do you tell a guy before a game when it's going to be a run-heavy, game plan? And even if you're going up against a top run defense with a guy like Bijan, is the message, our players are better than their players and we're going to impose our will?
I don't view it like that. I never view it like we're better than you or anything of that sort. I do tell the players a lot they're the secret sauce. The plays and the design of the plays are great and all, but the players are the ones that make the plays work, and they're the ones that make the movie. We write the script as a staff. They got to make the movie, and who some of those key roles are going to be in that movie that day as you start getting closer to the ball game, and then all of a sudden you start understanding what the elements are. And I didn't know Saturday night how bad the wind was going to be. The wind was blowing really good in pregame warm-ups. We've learned that, the effect of what that wind can do to us offensively at times. We didn't throw it great at Oklahoma State. Then add in the temperature of it all. It was not a warm day by any means. And so in those elements, man, you got to find a way to be able to run the ball. I think that when you go on the road in those elements, you got to be able to run the ball and you got to play defense. And you got to pack those 2 things in your travel bag, and we were able to do it. That doesn't mean we don't want to throw it and take advantage of things, but, man, it's got to start there. You got to force people to tackle in that weather. And I thought we did that. And ultimately, number 5 did show up. He had a heck of a game.
Last one on your left, center.
Steve, you guys, if you take care of business on Friday, will there be a watch party at the Sarkisian Mansion Saturday?
Well, not for you guys. But I love you guys, but no, I don't know. I'm not big into all that. I'm sure I'll have a handful of players at the house. It seems like the place to be now, which I love, man. I love our players. I appreciate all that they do for our program, old guys, young guys, and I'm sure Miss L'Oreal will have a lot of food, and we'll hang out. So, but hey, we do that for Thanksgiving. We do that on the normal. So the reality of it is, we try to have a really good connection with our players and know that we're here for them beyond just coaching them in football, but hopefully developing them in life to become better men. And my door will be open. So don't stalk me, said. All right.